Hello, my name is James Litvack. I am the manager for Rhode Island Relay, and I'm going to talk about the services that Rhode Island Relay offers, but I'm also going to talk about what you as a service provider can expect when you receive a relay call or you make a relay call to somebody you work with. Rhode Island Relay is a service that allows people who are deaf, hard of hearing, deafblind, or have a speech disability to make telephone calls. This is mandated by the Americans with Disabilities Act of 1990, Title IV. The state of Rhode Island currently contracts with T-Mobile Accessibility to provide this service, and is funded by a telephone surcharge on all landline bills. Rhode Island Relay is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. You can make a call from anywhere within Rhode Island. There are no restrictions on the length or number of calls that you can make. All calls are confidential. No records of any type are kept or maintained. You can either dial the 711 number and connect to an operator, or you can call a toll-free number. There are different types of relay services that you can expect to use. There is the TTY service. The TTY is a device that has a keyboard and a display where people type out and read responses. There's voice carryover that's usually used by people who are hard of hearing that prefer to use their own voices, and they'll speak to you directly and read your response. And the speech-to-speech for people who have speech disabilities, where somebody will revoice on their behalf. You have hearing carryover, that's for people with speech disabilities, and they will type out their responses, and the relay operator will read their responses to you. And there's CAT-TEL, which is very popular with the hard of hearing population, and that is a specialized phone. Here, I got one right here I can show you. And the caption for what you're saying to your customer will be displayed here. And for those who are deaf and blind, the Telbraille relay services, which is essentially a TTY that's connected to a Braille device. And there's IP relay, which is similar to TTY services, except people are using their computer keyboard and it's over the internet. This will give you an idea on how the TTY services work. As you can see, you have a person that's using a TTY. They connect with an operator who also has a TTY device, and they type back and forth to each other, and the TTY user tells the operator what they want to say to the caller that does not have a TTY device. So it relays back and forth. And voice users using the relay service is basically the same thing, except it's reverse. You would call the relay service, give the person, the operator, the phone number, and they will connect with the TTY user, and it goes back and forth. When you're on a TTY relay call, one thing to keep in mind is there are some code words that are used. You will hear GA, that stands for go ahead. This informs that you're done talking and you're ready for the other person to talk back to you. Stop keying, SK, that means that the conversation is over, you're ready to hang up. And I'll talk about this a little more later on, but you don't want to use terminology like tell them or I want him to hear this or something to that effect. You're talking directly to the person. The operator is just relaying exactly what you say. If you were to say something like tell him, the relay operator is going to type exactly that. Voice carryover allows deaf and hard of hearing customers to use their own voices when they prefer. The voice carryover user will basically read your responses, and then when they want to respond back to you, they will use their own voice. Okay, speech-to-speech allows a person who has a speech disability to voice his or her own conversation. What happens is a specially trained operator will be on the line and will, based on the preference of the individual, they will either revoice everything that is said for the person with a speech disability, or they will just wait and then hop in if there's a communication difficulty. There is no special equipment needed to use this service. Hearing carryover, this is something that is not used by those that are deaf or hard of hearing. This is a service that's intended for people who have a speech disability, such as aphasia, or people who have had a stroke, where they will use a TTY to type out what they want to say, but they will listen to what you or the other person wants to say. CapTel is an extremely popular service with the hard of hearing community. And essentially what it is the captions are displayed on the phone. And the captions are displayed on the phone through a relay operator that's revoicing the conversation. So if you, as a hearing caller, call somebody that's using a CapTel phone, everything you say, a specially trained operator will revoice what you're saying, and speech recognition software will provide the captions that are displayed on the phone. Telebraille relay service is for relay users who are deaf, blind, or have low vision. Rhode Island Relay will provide customized relay service for the unique needs of these individuals. For example, we can speed it up or slow it down. The way it works is there's a braille device or a large screen or a slow speed rate. The relay operator will type at a normal speed. Messages will come across at a rate of 15 words per minute. Users can request an increase or a decrease depending on their individual needs. You may often hear the expression, one size does not fit all. That's how it is with the Telebraille relay service, but we will customize it based on the needs of the individual. IP relay service is intended for deaf and hard of hearing, but also the deaf blind can use it. And it is basically the same idea as the TTY relay service, except you're using the internet and a computer. One of the things that comes in handy is sometimes people find it easy to customize their computer screens. So as you can see, there are a lot of different services that Rhode Island Relay offers. And one of the things you may be asking yourself is like, okay, I know how the service works, but what can I expect? How can I use this service when I want to contact a customer of mine? Or, I mentioned all these different services, and some of them have individual phone numbers. How do you know which phone number to use and all of that? The easiest thing to keep in mind is you want to call whatever phone number that was provided to you by your customer. People using the CapTel phone service, they may in some cases give you an 800 number and their own personal number, in which case you would call the 800 number and then call their phone number. That's for the people that are not using the internet to access the caption through their phone. However, most users now have a phone that uses the internet, so you will be able to call them just directly with whatever the one phone number that they give you. If you're calling somebody that uses TTY, they will have probably written on their intake forms, like call 711 first, and then their own individual phone number. When you call the 711 number, you're going to hold on the line for a second, and then the operator will come on. They'll ask, what number calling, please? If you're on a phone call with somebody that is using the CapTel service, during the phone conversation, you may notice a slight delay in people responding to you. The reason for that is, as I mentioned before, the way the system works, you speak, then the relay operator will revoice what you say into the speech recognition software, which generates the captions that show up on the customer's phone. And there can be a couple of seconds between all of that happening. And then you have to wait for the customer to actually read the caption. So if you're during a call, you notice a slight pause, you can just wait. There will be a response coming. However, if you start to say stuff like, is anybody there, or anything like that, um, the relay operator also has to caption that, and that will just slow down the phone call even further. So just expect that for some users, you may have a slight pause. Now, why am I saying some users? The reason being is everybody uses their CapTel phone differently. For example, there are some people who find that they can hear a lot of what is being spoken, so they will only refer back to the caption when they are noticing that they're not understanding. And then you have some users that will read every single caption throughout the entire duration of the phone call. So those phone calls, there'll probably be some pauses. Some things you want to keep in mind if you ever receive a phone call that starts off with "This is Rhode Island Relay." Um, that's not a sales call. That's a customer using Rhode Island Relay trying to get in touch with you. So if you hang up on that sales call, you're actually hanging up on a customer, which is something none of us would ever want to do. So keep that in mind. Other things to keep in mind, as a medical service provider, you may be concerned about confidentiality and using the service. You don't need to be concerned about that. All agents that are involved with facilitating relay calls sign confidentiality agreements, and none of these calls are recorded or records are kept of it. If you have any further questions about the services that I talked about, please, I welcome you to get in touch with me, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that you have.